Yeah, you guys are now listening to the Mister Sanchez Show. I'm your host, the illustrious Mister Sanchez. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you guys watching. How you guys doing, man? My week has been tumultuous, to say the least. There's a prayer, and it's a very dangerous, right? I'll say it's kind of a very dangerous prayer, right? And if you pray about it and you really mean it, it'll flip your life upside down. And it goes something like, God, if this is not for me, take it out of my life. Right? If you pray that thing, it'll work. You know what I mean? And you can't be scared. Your life's gonna flip upside down, but you just gotta trust God's plan. And that's kind of what I'm going through right now. I'm not gonna panic. I'm gonna stay firm. Realize that what is happening around me is God's plan, and in the end, I'm gonna end up a better man and in a better situation because of it. So, if you're not happy, or maybe you're not happy with the way your life is going, your career is going, your relationship is going, lock in, pray about it, and stand firm when the walls start collapsing around you, and realize that it's God's plan. But I hope you guys are good. And moving on to topics and shit and stuff like that. We had a lot of boxing this weekend. I was very excited about it. But it was very uneventful. The boxing fights sucked, and they sucked big time. Devin Haney and Jose Ramirez, right? They fought in Times Square. I thought it was going to be, an exciting fight, and they actually broke the record for least punches thrown in any fight in boxing history. It was dog poop, and it was terrible. Devin Haney kind of blew his... Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia both blew about $30 million for their rematch fight because they both fought terribly. Ryan Garcia fought Romero. If you guys watched the show last week, I had picked Ryan Garcia by knockout. I thought he had the best left hook in the business. I thought there's no way he's going to fight 12 rounds with Rolly and not land that left hook. And that's exactly what happened. You know what I'm saying? Like he got rocked by Rolly in the first, I believe it was the first round or the second round. He got put on his pockets, and he fought like a scared fighter after that. He didn't do anything. He kind of just stayed away, and Rolly came out with the win. I was kicking myself in the ass because my boss at work was like, "Oh no, I'm putting $1,000 on Rolly." I was like, yo, that's a crazy bet. You know what I mean? He's like, yeah, but if I win, I get $8,000. He's like, yo, put 100 on Rolly, you get $800 if you win. You know what I'm saying? You blow $100 eating out. You blow $100 anywhere, just do it. So I thought about it, and I spoke to my brother about it, and he was like, no, bro, if it's 8-1, Vegas isn't gonna lose. Don't do it. So I didn't do it, and of course, Rolly wins. My boss comes up, 8K. He's super happy, and I was kicking myself in the butt over it. Shout out to my boss. He gave me $100 as like a tip. You know what I mean? I didn't want to accept it, but he was like, "Nah, man, you're my good luck charm. Here, take it." And I didn't feel like putting the money back, even though I didn't win it. You know what I'm saying? But I just took it to be a gentleman. You know what I'm saying? And be a gentleman, guys. Being a gentleman is one of the most gangster things that you could do out here. A lot of people want to be loud, braggadocious, douchebags. And I take a lot of pride in being a gentleman. You know what I'm saying? You guys should incorporate that into your daily life. So also we had Canelo Alvarez versus some dude named Skull. That dude ran the whole fight. He looked like twice the size of Canelo. And it was one of the worst fights I've ever seen. I don't know if this is like some kind of collusion by the American boxing promoters against the Saudi guys. You know what I mean? Because the Saudi promoters, they're the ones making all these great fights. The American promoters, they cannot get the business done right because they want to protect their fighters for money, this and that. The Saudi guys, they don't care. They don't care if the venue makes money. They just want to put on the best fights. That's why they book Times Square. That's why they give everybody hundreds of millions of dollars to fight, because they just want to see the fight. You know what I mean? But I feel like how can you have all these great fights and they all suck big time? I feel like that might be a conspiracy for the ages, but whatever. Now, moving on, the White House posts a pic of Trump as the Pope, and the media goes crazy over it. You know what I mean? And they ask him like, "Hey, how do you feel about you offending the Catholics?" And the Catholics weren't offended by it. It was the media who was offended by it. You know what I mean? Trump says that he didn't post that. Like, that was an AI generated image. Somebody at the White House was having fun and they posted it. And I'm happy to see that, people are having fun again. You know what I mean? Like, we had 4 years of a boring President Biden of just woke nonsense and a bunch of BS. And now, Trump won and they're trolling the left. And I love it. I love trolling the left. I've calmed down with it. You know what I'm saying? I kind of went hard, during the election cycle, trolling libs and making my opinion come out. You know what I'm saying? But I don't really care anymore. You know what I mean? I pissed off a lot of people because even to today, they still try to get at me about like little things. You know what I mean? But I got exactly what I voted for. I'm super happy. You know what I mean? I want the tariffs to kick in and I want the economy to get better. Gas yesterday was $2.49 for regular at my local gas station. I took a picture of it. You know what I'm saying? It's not BS. So that's what I voted for. I voted for lower gas prices and a better economy. Now we're 100 days in to the new presidency. Of course, everything hasn't turned around yet, but, I have faith that it will. You know what I mean? Moving on, we got Diddy throws a Hail Mary in his defense case. He changed up his lawyer. I believe now he has Lil Durk's lawyer, and they're coming out with a new defense that he was on drugs when he was having the freak-off parties, so therefore he's not responsible. That is not a good defense, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you could do drugs and get out of your mind, but at the end of the day, you were the one who took the drugs, so you're the one who's responsible for what you do when you're on drugs. You feel me? So I heard that they're offering him a 5-year plea deal, which I think that's a pretty good deal. You know what I mean? 5 years, he's already probably done maybe a year. That's 4 years on good behavior. He'll be out in a little while. He rejected that deal. I think that was a bad move. I think he should have took that deal. You know what I mean? But we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. Moving on, we got Dave Portnoy crashes out, right? If you guys don't know who Dave Portnoy is, he is the owner of Barstool Sports. He has a lot of podcasts. He has a podcast studio and a network, and he puts on shows, and he's worth a lot of money, and he has like a pizza review thing that he does, and he's very successful, and he's helped a lot of people, and he's a proud Jewish man. Well, he owns a club or a bar, I believe, in I forgot what state, maybe Chicago, something like that. And some kids had bought a bottle, and when you get bottle service, they have like a sign, you know what I mean? And on that sign, it basically, when the bottles were coming out, it said F the Jays, which is his religion. So he crashes out, he gets super mad, understandably, you know what I mean? Like that's like a messed up thing to do. I understand why he would be upset. Now he's getting criticized, right, about it because he's making it a mission to go out and cancel everybody who was involved. He fired all of his staff that had anything to do with it. Now he's going after the kids individually, outing them. I don't know if they're in school, contacting whatever there is. He's basically trying to ruin their life. And this is not my take, but I read it on the internet. Basically, they're saying that he is confirming what people are saying about the Jays, right? He's saying that they have so much power that if you say anything about them, they'll ruin your life. And he's kind of like confirming that. You know what I mean? I understand his point of view. I understand why he was so offended. It was his business. It was an attack on his people. And every action has a consequence to it. So I see both sides. You know what I mean? Maybe he could have, I don't know what he could have did, but it's going viral on the internet. Let me know your opinions on it. And yeah. All right, moving on. All right, so there's a dude named Rodney Henton Jr. and this is going also viral on the internet. It's a very tragic situation. What happened with him is that, his son was in a stolen vehicle, and the car got cornered by the police, right, in a chase. So all the kids ran out of the car, and his son had a firearm in his hand when he ran out of the car. So the police are chasing him. He has his back towards, the cops. They're on foot pursuit, and he falls. When he falls, the firearm falls on the floor, and he picks up the firearm and tries to keep on running. When he picks up the firearm, boom, he gets unalived by the police. Now the police are saying, it was a justified unaliving, because you can't it only takes a second for somebody to up and shoot you. You know what I mean? So they felt like it was justified. I also feel like it was justified. Somebody they have a weapon in their hand and they're facing you. It could take a second for them to just lift it up and do that to you. So unfortunately, the young man was unalived. Now, the father didn't take that very well. I don't know if he had all the details, if he saw the body cam footage, because the body cam footage kind of speaks for itself. You know what I mean? But in 24 hours, he basically gets in his car and he runs over and he unalives a deputy who was doing like traffic school, who had nothing to do with it. So, he gets arraigned, he goes in front of the court, and he mean mugs all the cops. All the cops are mean mugging him. You know how cops are. They stick together, and if you unalive one of them, they'll get at you. You know what I'm saying? In Miami, if you do something like that, most of the time they don't take you alive, right? They usually, when you get apprehended for unaliving a police officer in Miami, you usually end up in a body bag. You know what I mean? But I feel for the guy. I can have empathy for the father, because what he did was like 100% wrong, but maybe he didn't know all the details. It's still his son. He still raised his boy. You know what I mean? And if somebody does that to your kid, you can become insane. You know what I mean? So it was a tragic situation. You know what I'm saying? I pray for everybody involved. I pray for him. I pray for the deputy who lost his life, the innocent deputy who lost his life, and everybody who's dealing with it. There's a lot of like online thing, a lot of people online are saying, it was a good thing, an eye for an eye, you take one of us, we'll take one of yours. Like, the internet could be an evil place filled with a lot of crap, you know what I mean? But that's what's going on in the news, bro. It's the world we live in today. It's 2025. It's ugly out here. I wish I had better stories of beautiful things that were happening around the world, but unfortunately, those things don't really make the news that much. You know what I'm saying? Moving on, we got AOC, bro. She hints for a run at a presidency, and I couldn't be happier. You got to love the Democrats, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, they just plan to lose. You know what I mean? 2028, they want to put AOC against J.D. Vance for a run at the presidency. And for me, that's an easy win for J.D. Vance. You know what I'm saying? AOC, while she has a fan base and she's attractive, and I don't think she's a good speaker, but people that like her think she's a good speaker. But I don't see her being able to win. You know what I mean? I don't. I see it as an easy win for J.D. Vance in 2028. And the Democrats are in shambles, bro. They have to rebrand. They need to find a better leader. And AOC is not it. You know what I mean? Not it at all. And we're going to wrap up the show. I met a young lady. She's about 32 years old. She is a divorce lawyer. So after speaking with her, she told me that 90% of women initiate divorce in America. And that is crazy to me, dude. Do we as Western men have a chance at a happy marriage? I asked her what makes women want to get divorced, and her number one thing was their friends. You know what I'm saying? Their circle of friends gets in their ear. They make them insecure about their marriage. They want them to come out and party with them, and it's a lot of pressure. And they get influenced by their friends, and then boom, marriage starts going down the tubes. She said that the common thing that men say is that they stop having sex. And she says that guys, because she usually works for men, she says, her clients say they haven't had sex in 5 years. They haven't had sex in 10 years. And that's crazy. You know what I mean? It's crazy. In a lot of marriages, sexual chemistry is the cornerstone of the marriage, right? Like you meet a girl, sex is off the chain, you fall in love, and you go, I want to marry this woman. You know what I mean? So you get married, and then once that goes out the tubes, I mean, a lot of things happen before you guys stop having sex. You know what I mean? But, it's just messed up, dude. And her number one advice to all men and anybody who's getting married is to get a prenup. So, protect yourself at all times, keep your hands up, protect your assets, and that's it, man. That's what we got. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you watching the Mister Sanchez Show. God bless you guys. Thank you for listening. Good night. Peace.